Through the Holy Spirit he offered himself to you as a spotless victim, and he made his apostles, consecrated in the truth, sharers in his mission.
It was about 4 or 5 years into seminary where I really began to question if this is what I wanted to do. I was principally praying about celibacy. Is God calling me to get married? Did he make my heart for marriage? And really the question, the answer to that came back as, yes, I am called to be married, but that my heart was falling more in love with love itself, and that I was called to share in God's own love for his people.
After mature deliberation and prayer, Kevin, our brother, is now to be ordained to the priesthood in the order of the presbyterate so as to serve Christ, the teacher, priest, and shepherd.
These last few years of seminary have just been preparing myself to be the best father that I can be, to be the best priest that I can be. And I can't even imagine what this life is going to be like, but I'm ready for it with God's help. I know my weakness, but I know he'll be there too. So this has been the most amazing thing in my life.
My name is Lenius, and I am the mother of Kevin Lenius, a newly ordained priest, and very proud of him. I am married to my husband, James. We've been married for almost 35 years this year, as a matter of fact. We have 2 children, the oldest being my daughter, Andrea, and she lives in Lubbock and is married to her husband, Jeff, and they've been married for 5 years now. And then my son, Kevin, and I had my children really close together. They're 11 months apart, and they were very close family. And we went to church all of our lives, and I was a convert to the faith.
I guess where Kevin gets it from is his grandmother. She took us to church all the time. I mean, we started out here at the base when we got here in 1970, and she took us to church all the time. And then, of course, after we got kids, we were going to church, but we took them as well. And I don't know if it, that made any difference, but we sat on the front row a lot so they could see what's going on and stuff like that. And they really enjoyed it. They were good kids in church and that kind of thing.
Basically, Kevin has always been a free-spirited young man. He's grown up, he always has such a big heart. And I remember days that he would come home, be, kind of, wanting to talk, wanting to ask questions, and had very many conversations in the car after school. And he always had questions about, what about this? How do you talk to people when they, are aggravated or upset with others, and it just makes my heart feel sad. But he worked through that very well. He always had in his pocket, he always had a little Bible. It was a little orange Bible, and it was just the New Testament, but he had, wore the pages out, bent a lot of covers in the corners back, and it's got a well-worn cover on it, and it's just something that I've kept. And I think it's very special, and it makes one very proud to be his mother.
One big part of my life is that I love music. I play the violin. I've been playing the violin since I was about 12 years old, learning through the public school system. But I ended up playing violin as well at the choir at Holy Family. And I remember God speaking to me, speaking to my heart, my soul so much through this music, through the hymns, and also just through, as a violinist, I was able to do a lot of harmonizing with the music that I was able to play with. And God speaking through that to me. These choir rehearsals ended up being these moments of prayer.
Kevin received the oblation of the holy people to be offered to God. Understand what you do, imitate what you celebrate, and conform your life to the mystery of the Lord's cross.
I started getting involved with a program here in the diocese that was extremely influential in my vocation and my relationship with Jesus Christ, called the Search Program. And these are youth retreats held throughout the diocese. And going to these search programs, so many of my peers started telling me, you should think about the priesthood. That was a big deal for me. As I got to about my junior year of high school, I began to seriously think about going to seminary. So I remember, it was here in this living room actually, telling my parents for the first time that I was really thinking about this. And I remember asking, what would y'all think about if I did this, if I went to seminary?
Qua propter profusis gadis, totus in orbe terrarum mundus exulta.
And so I remember it was one time after choir practice, I was playing violin, and there was just, that tug at my heart, this prayer and the music. All these, people been telling me about that I should be thinking about the priesthood. So after choir practice, I went to the foyer of the church at Holy Family, and I found the contact information for the vocations office of the diocese. And I sent the vocation director an email, who at the time was Father Barry McLean. And it was probably this, I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was probably this really shady, like, hey, I don't know about this, just thinking about this, can I get some more information? I wanted to send an email and not make a phone call because that was too committed. And Father Barry probably emailed me back within the hour and said, Kevin, I would love to meet you. I'm here to help you with anything, as you think about this. Can we meet sometime? And I saw that he copied my pastor, Father Fred, on that email and a few others from the parish who were working for vocations. And I was like, whoa, okay, here we go. This is starting. And then I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I don't think I replied to him right away. And so I was sitting here at home one day, and this big pickup truck pulls outside of my house, and here comes this man in black walking up my sidewalk, and I was like, okay, this just got real. And here was Father Barry knocking at my door, and we sat here in my house and talked about what seminary would be like, what it's like to be a priest. And he offered me his help and his prayers and put me in contact with a lot of different people. It's probably the best decision I've ever made in my life. And so my years of seminary, I just finished them. Huge blessing. I spent 4 years at Conception Seminary College in Missouri, 2 years in Houston at St. Mary's, and also 2 years at Kendrick Glennon Seminary in St. Louis. And that's a whole story in itself, moving from when I was 18 years old, wondering, should I become a priest, to where I am now, 27, very confident that God has called me to this life, but knowing myself so much better and knowing His love so much more deeply.
I've thought of this moment for a very long time. This moment, actually, right now. What in the world would I say right after I get ordained a priest of Jesus Christ?
One thing I would
What
say
could I
to another
possibly
parent, if they were thinking about letting their son become a priest, I think it would be very important to listen to them, very important to try to understand where they're coming from, and not really put your feelings in front of his feelings. I think they very much, need your backing and your support. And I know you're going to probably, ask yourself, well, my son, I'm really worried about him joining the priesthood. But there's really not much to worry about, because you have a very long time for him to discern and make a decision. God will let them know if it's the right path. And they will be strengthened along the way, and you'll be amazed in how much they grow and how much they flourish.
I would say, let them find their way. Don't be selfish and wanting the stuff that you want for them, because it's not your life, it's their life, and whatever happens for them, it's their choices and stuff like that.
Began more to ask that question, Kevin, are you strong enough for this? Jesus eventually came to me and told me, Kevin, that's the wrong question. Rather, Kevin, are you weak enough for this?
Do I trust God? And to flesh that out, trusting Him is more than just this thinking like, yeah, He's going to have me, but to trust in terms of asking questions, talking to people, talking about, these thoughts that you may be having, and having the trust to go and visit a seminary, to go and talk to other seminarians, to talk to a priest. Prayer, of course, is the number one thing. It's our relationship with God. And it's within prayer that we hear, that we're able to understand who God made us to be. He's the one who tells us who we are. So don't be afraid to trust and to give yourself to the process. God can work through so many people, so don't be afraid to ask questions.